The Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, meets with the Minister of the Interior of the Dominican Republic in the midst of the Begoña Gómez scandal. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. Sometimes information is not what it seems, and the timing and context in which the news happens are very important. Today is an example of that because we have learned that in recent days the Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, received the Minister of the Interior of the Dominican Republic right here in Madrid. You might say, well, that's what he's supposed to do, receive his counterparts from other countries. Of course, the issue here is the timing of that meeting when Begoña Gómez is in the middle of a scandal with her legal case, in which Judge Peinado has requested her passport. Begoña Gómez has not handed it over. There have been rumors for many months that she does have Dominican citizenship. And with all this chaos of corruption linked to the PSOE in the Dominican Republic, Jose Bono on one side, the Hidalgos on the other, and so on, that meeting takes place. Just look. Context and how important context is to really understand what's happening. We're going to tell you all the details of that information so you know what's brewing and what's happening. Because of course so many things happen that sometimes there are details we miss, and they are extremely important. Stay until the end of the video. I know you'll like it and we'll share the information on screen as usual. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel. And we already have on the cover that image, that photograph, the Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, and his counterpart in the Dominican Republic, who is this woman wearing the jacket. You see, and here you can see the flag of the Dominican Republic and here the Spanish flag, at that reception held by the Minister of the Interior. Let's get into the details of this information. The Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, met with the Minister of the Interior of the Government of the Dominican Republic on February 5th. This conversation took place after Begoña Gómez refused to hand over her passport to the head of Madrid's investigating court number 41, Juan Carlos Peinado. The wife of Pedro Sánchez is under investigation for crimes of embezzlement, influence peddling, business corruption, unauthorized professional practice, and misappropriation. Well, the judge made the request last November 2025. Judge Peinado requested the passport of Begoña Gómez and her advisor in order to further investigate the possible commission of an embezzlement crime. That is, the judge wants to find out if Cristina Álvarez, who was her advisor in Moncloa, worked for the private projects of Pedro Sánchez's wife while receiving a salary paid with Spanish public funds. After this request, the investigating judge has not yet received a response. In other words, Begoña Gómez does whatever she wants. She doesn't pay any attention to what the judge says. If it were anyone else, they'd be under arrest, but since she's the Prime Minister's wife, nothing is happening. We'll see if that changes. For this reason, on February 6th of this year, Judge Peinado issued an order demanding that the National Passenger Information Office send him all the information about her trips. Among them to the Dominican Republic, the Republic of the Congo, the Republic of Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and the Russian Federation. For his part, Grande Marlaska, who had barely had a meeting with his counterpart from the Dominican Republic government in 2 years, scheduled a meeting on February 5th with the Dominican Minister of the Interior, whose name is Faride Raful, at the ministry's headquarters in Madrid. The bilateral meeting announced on the Spanish government's agenda was intended, according to a press release issued by the Dominican government, to strengthen cooperation on security matters. During the meeting, according to this statement, both authorities made progress in negotiations for the signing of an international treaty on cooperation in security and against transnational crime, aimed at strengthening the joint response to common threats. They reportedly spoke at length about public safety and the fight against organized crime. According to the statement, both ministers agreed that security is a fundamental pillar for coexistence, development, and tourism, and they reiterated their commitment to continue strengthening the channels of bilateral cooperation. In this context, they highlighted the promotion of the assistance program against transnational organized crime, an initiative of the European Union that promotes cooperation between Europe and Latin America to jointly confront organized crime and transnational crime. This is the official reason for the meeting. But obviously, the relationship of Begoña Gómez with the Commission, the Dominican Republic, has been in the public eye for a long time now. Once it became known that the businessman linked to the Coldo scheme, Victor Daldama, accused the wife of the socialist leader of having Dominican nationality. This, according to Daldama, would be due to the various businesses Gómez allegedly has in the Caribbean country. You also already know that for quite a few months there has been speculation that the Sanchez-Gómez couple might even have money in the Dominican Republic, something that to this day has not been proven. But it's true that they often say where there's smoke, there's fire, and as someone else said, rumors are the prelude to news. We've dealt with this for months, and now, coincidentally, Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska faces this mess with Begoña Gómez, who won't hand over her passport or reveal how many times she's traveled to the Dominican Republic. Well, he meets with the Minister of the Interior of the Dominican Republic. You can't tell me that's just a coincidence. Anyway, I think this whole Begoña Gómez case is going to keep causing problems because honestly, she's not obeying Judge Peinado in a situation that's completely unprecedented. Judge Peinado tells her to hand over her passport, but Begoña Gómez refuses. Begoña Gómez refuses. She should be arrested, but do you think Fernando Grande Marlaska's police will do it? You know the answer. But obviously this is a joke. You have to obey the judges, and if a judge asks for your passport, you have to hand it over. And you can't be stalling, making excuses or whatever. When you don't hand it over, maybe you have something to hide. Because if not, hey, if they ask for your passport, it's not even to take it away so you can't travel. It's simply to check where you've traveled. That too, well, Begoña Gómez could do that. Obviously, they're not stupid, right? They could renew it and then you wouldn't know anymore. But anyway, Judge Peinado is doing his job. He's trying to look into it, investigate. And Begoña Gómez, well, she's resisting. She's resisting and not complying with the court order. Anyway, let's not forget this meeting between the Minister of the Interior, Fernando Grande Marlaska, and his Dominican counterpart. Because with everything that's coming up, maybe one day we'll have to remember it. In the meantime, we're telling you about it here on this Medidas Cautelares channel. Since, well, this story doesn't appear in some media outlets or on other channels either. But here on Medidas Cautelares, we are going to tell it. Because we think it might be interesting. And it's the kind of video we should save for the future, today's video, just in case. Okay? Just in case. That's it for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you enjoyed it. You already know that you can become members like the chosen ones for less than 3 euros a month. Or like the Supremos for less than 7 euros a month, you can also support this great community that all of you are a part of, and me. By making financial contributions with your mobile phone via Bizum to the number 627556370, that's 627-5556. And well, honestly, I have a lot of things to tell you. I'm preparing a little surprise that I think you're really going to like. Naturally, I'm really excited. And keep a close eye on Medidas Cautelares these days too. Because we're preparing a bombshell. A bombshell. And I can't tell you more. But I'll just tell you it's going to be one of those shocking news stories. A real bombshell. A real exclusive. So keep a close eye on Medidas Cautelares in the coming days. Because if everything goes well and nothing goes wrong, in just a few days, you're going to get a top-notch exclusive. And if not, just wait and see. The most important thing, as I always tell you, this information reaches everyone. Information is power. See you soon. Bye.